Welcome, everybody. If we could encourage everyone to come in and please take your seats. I am so thrilled to see so many leaders and builders and creators and advocates and tenacious people who managed to find parking who are here with us today. The attendance at this year's event has doubled from last year, which is very exciting. Thank you all for being here today. I assume you know, but if you don't, my name is Gina Leichty, and I'm the mayor of the City of Goshen. I'm the 33rd mayor and the first woman to hold that office in Goshen's almost 200-year history. Hold up. I only mention that because you are the ones that made that possible. In Indiana, 52% of the registered voters are women. And when women show up, elections shift, communities shift, and the future starts. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who made this possible. This event today is hosted by the City of Goshen in partnership with the Goshen Chamber of Commerce, Women in Business Network, and the Community Relations Commission, two organizations that believe that Goshen's future is strengthened by empowering the women who live, work, lead, and dream here. Could the folks who are in the leadership teams on the Women in Business Network and the CRC commissioners please stand? Just want to say thank you to all of you. I know we have some community relations commissioners. They're probably already standing because they were helping welcome you today. Could we get a round of applause for those folks? Thank you. Some might ask, why would the city be sponsoring International Women's Day? Because representation is not just a talking point. It's a strategy for building a thriving, resilient, connected community. And because when women are at the table, we don't just bring a seat, we bring 3 extra chairs, snacks, and a color-coded spreadsheet ready to solve the problem collaboratively. And because we are creating a city where everyone can thrive, and that requires uplifting the stories, experiences, and leadership from people from every sector and walk of life. So, a huge thank you to our sponsors who also helped make this event happen. First to Bread and Chocolate, who donated the venue for today. Thank you to them. Yoder, Ainley, Ulmer, and Buckingham, the Community Foundation of Elkhart County, Ancon Construction, the Goshen Chamber, First State Bank, Goshen Floral and Gifts, Edward Jones, Apex Integrated Solution, Abbenmarsh, Niles Care Center, Young at Art. Your investment fuels leadership and builds real momentum towards equity, innovation, and community well-being. Thank you for not only saying that International Women's Day matters, but for showing up and proving it. Could we have a round of applause for our sponsors? Now, the sound and audio and lights today have been coordinated by EA Pro, and I have personally been working with EA Pro for 25-ish years. It's been a long time. Let me tell you, I know there are a lot of event organizers in this room. And if you're organizing an event, you will not find a better partner in the City of Goshen, whether it's light, sound, AV, DJ services. This is the guy you need to call. So shout out to EA Pro. I also want to thank the outstanding members of my team who worked so hard to make this happen. First, my heartfelt thanks to Cheryl Tucker, who happens to be the head of Central Command at the mayor's office. Cheryl's the person to thank for all the behind-the-scenes work to make sure you have delicious food, a comfy place to sit, assigned seats, dessert, and beautiful flowers. I'm also so very thankful for Michael Wamba. He is the reason that this event happened this year. I have to admit that there was a moment early at the beginning of this year and end of last year. I said, Mike, do you think people still want to show up? Does International Women's Day still matters? And he said, heck yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to need your help to make this happen. And he did. And so I want to give a huge shout out to you, Mike. Thank you for making sure this happened. And to Mark Brinson, my partner in crime and the other half of my brain that makes sure that we stay focused on time and that things get done at the city. And finally, a thanks to my mom, who set the first and most important example for me that a woman's place is not only in the garden or the kitchen, it's also in the wood shop, in the halls of academia, in the boardroom, and behind the pulpit. Thank you, Mom. We've got some amazing stories for you to hear today. We are incredibly fortunate to have 4 powerful, purposeful women who are going to share their stories on what it means to give to gain. First, we have Kari Tarman, who is the director of the Hessl Women of Impact at the University of Notre Dame. Kari champions leadership, philanthropy, and programs that uplift women and girls. Her work builds partnerships that spark long-term social change. If impact had a job description, Kari wrote it. Next, we have Giselle Hernandez. As a realtor, with the heart for first-time home buyers, an advocate for Concord Community Schools, a Women in Business Network member, and a newly appointed board member for the Goshen Boys and Girls Club. She is also a wife, mom to 5, a dog mom to 2, making her uniquely qualified to speak on time management today. Megan Hessl is a trust and charitable administrator at Advents Financial, helping individuals steward legacy gifts with purpose and generosity. She's an active civil servant as a commissioner on the Redevelopment Commission, the board president of the Goshen Parks and Recreation Board, and she leads Goshen's most active neighborhood association, the Historic South Side. Megan builds neighborhoods literally and figuratively with intention and heart. And finally, we'll hear from Tami Hicks, who is the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Elkhart County. With decades of experience in education, leadership, and advocacy, Tami puts young people at the center of every decision. She doesn't just open doors. The sky is the limit. Fun fact, she can also fly an airplane. So today is a day of celebration, but it's also a call to action. It's about recognizing the incredible women, all of us recommitting to a community where barriers fall, voices rise, and opportunities grow. So we'll learn, we'll laugh, and we'll be inspired, and we'll keep building a Goshen where women don't just participate, they lead, they shape, and they transform lives. Now, a little bit of logistics for lunch. Our speakers are going to begin exactly at noon, which means that all 150 of us have 20 minutes to make it through the food line. We do want to be mindful of your time, and so we are going to move quickly today. So after I finish speaking, I will start dismissing tables, and we ask that you try to make your choices quickly and get back to the seat so that Kari will begin right at 12. Thank you again, all of you, for being here. Let's make today an unforgettable International Women's Day. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kari Tarman, and I have quite a few people in here who know me from many phases of life. And if you knew me in high school and college, which I can directly see one, you know that millennial rap dance music is ultimately my favorite kind of music. So while I wasn't sure if it was appropriate, when I said yes to this and was thinking about what my speech was going to be, I really decided I wanted to be authentically me and not hold back. So that is why that's my walk-up song. I also tend to be a little aggressive. So if you give me something, I will be like, let's go, let's get this done. So thank you for being here today. As I was asked to do this, I think my initial inclination was no. I think anytime we're asked to do these things, we think to ourselves, what do we have to offer? How is our story any better or different from other people's? And so as I did say yes, I thought this is really just a year for me to share my story along with 3 other amazing women. And next year, I look forward to hearing your stories as well. So I can't see the screen, but I'm hoping, there we go, a little photo popped up. So I'm originally from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I come from a deep Catholic family where my dad has 11 brothers and sisters, and my mom has 5. This is me at 2 years old visiting my uncle in Colorado. And you can't see the bottom of it, but I'm trying on this huge boot. And I felt like this was an illustration for my life and some of the stories that I'll share today about me constantly probably putting on shoes that my feet don't fit in and waiting for them to grow. And most of the time they have, and sometimes I've failed, and sometimes I haven't, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. I wanted to start with some of my most formative life experiences, and that does begin with going to St. John's Elementary School in Goshen. Yeah, I was one of the first groups of girls to be able to be altar servers. And I remember my mom being very excited that I was going to have opportunities that she didn't have. And one of the earliest lessons I have as an altar server at St. John's was, many of us may remember a man named Roy who used to walk through Goshen with a cart and in a pink shirt. And he used to come into our mass while I was an altar server, and there were 3 of us. And it was really interesting because as soon as he came in the side doors, you could feel the tensions rise. People did not know what to do. There was fear in the air. And in that moment, our priest at the time, Father Ed, he would welcome him. He would specifically stop Mass and address him and say, "Welcome, Roy. Thanks for coming in today." I remember watching parents as he would roam the church. What is he going to do? And in that moment, I remember feeling very curious. I wanted to know his story. I wanted to understand why he was the way he was. And as a kid, I reflect back on believing he was a Vietnam vet. But even then, as a kid, I watched our priests welcome him and greet him and treat him with respect. And that stuck with me for the rest of my life. It was probably the first time where maybe in the moment I didn't recognize it, but as you reflect back on your childhood experiences, I truly learned that curiosity is greater than fear. And so for the rest of my life, I have been very curious. And we'll hear a little bit more about that curiosity, but it really did all start at St. John's, being an altar server and being privileged to have that experience. So as I gained that perspective, I thought, what is the next thing that shaped me? What have I given that I've gained, as that's our theme? And so as I thought about my experiences in life, 4-H, and there's other 4-H people in here, was probably the next formative experience of my life. For 10 years, I was part of the Goshen Go-Getters 4-H Club. And while I gave my time to my club meetings and volunteering and long fair days, what I gained was so much bigger, and even how I operate today, so much stems from my life in 4-H. I learned how to run meetings. I learned how to handle conflict. I learned how to work across multiple generations of people, from an 8-year-old to a 65-year-old woman running our 4-H meetings. And it was so important. I also learned how to take feedback. There's nothing quite like sitting in front of a judge with your cookies at 8 years old being told that they're dry and that you should have done better. And you had to sit there and take it with a smile on your face and try better next time. And truly, one of the most important experiences of my life. Or my pig. My pig was never good. I couldn't even tell my pig from other people's pigs, and I had to tie a ribbon to his tail. But I do learned quickly that your effort doesn't always equal applause. You're not always the best in the room. And you learn something even more important, and what I learned in 4-H is you're never going to make everybody happy. You could be happy, but you'll learn some great lessons, and I'm really glad I learned that in my teenage years. 4-H taught me that information and feedback's not my identity, it's a way to grow, and that lesson has served me for decades. And if I'm ever having a bad day, and I didn't ask if I could cuss, but by my song, you should go out and shovel some shit. It will make you feel so much better. And still to this day, when I do manual labor to work off frustration, I go back to my 4-H days of washing a pig that doesn't want to listen and has truly shaped me into the person that I am. Later, I became the first person in my immediate family to graduate from college. My parents are both from Wisconsin, and my mom was actually the secretary at our Catholic school, and my dad was a blue-collar worker in a factory, and they knew that they wanted us to experience more. And while my mom couldn't be here today because she's helping my sister, my mom worked 2 jobs to send me to college to make sure that I didn't have a bunch of debt, and she did that for years. And I couldn't be more grateful for that sacrifice. And even in that moment, under our theme, what you give, you gain, I realized when you sacrifice and you give, even if it's not for yourself, you gain so much more. And that's something that I also hope to pay forward someday. So, So as I graduated from college, I thought, what would I choose if no one else had a say in my life? Where could I find that freedom? And what would I do to live an interesting and curious life? That question put me on a plane to Ghana and forever changed my future. As I told you the story of Roy, psychology was always my passion. He started that in me to better understand him as a human and to serve the marginalized population. So I had graduated with my bachelor's in psych and then got on a plane to go to Ghana. I was placed in a refugee camp working with Liberians just south of Accra. And I was assigned to teach safe sex education to Liberian women who were refugees from conflict. By day 2, I stopped teaching it. I remember day 1 feeling slightly appalled that I was put in this situation, and then later that night thinking, do I do what they want me to do, or do I change and do something different? And I decided to do the latter, change and do something different. What I quickly realized was the culture structures and the social dynamics, the realities of our lives here in America, their lives were completely different than me. And in that pivot, I learned one of the greatest lessons of my life. Serving others isn't about imposing what you know, it's about listening. That trip truly changed my life. When we go on mission trips or go to serve others, we often think that we're going to change them. But in the end, they change you. I came back from that never seeing the infrastructure that I took for granted here in America. Clean water, waste management systems, safety structures for women and children. I also was able to walk through what they call slave castles, holding space for what forced me to confront history in America in a way that I'd never had before. And seeing something like that, you come home different and changed. In fact, it also changed my entire career path. I was supposed to go and get my master's and become a psychologist and then my PhD. But part of our work involved women who had survived severe war atrocities, and I realized something about myself. I don't compartmentalize pain well. I want justice. I want to fight to make the world a better place. And that isn't something that you can always deliver because it's not always real. So that awareness was a gain too. So naturally, I decided to stretch myself again. I came home and decided that I wanted to travel to Seoul, South Korea. So I got on a plane by myself. I remember telling my mom that I was doing that, and she said, "Tell your father," and handed him the phone. Again, I thought I was going to go there and give. I was going to teach children how to speak English, and I was going to change their lives. Instead, I gained an independence that I never knew I needed. I learned how to navigate bus systems and subway lines, how to get lost, how to be in a country where I spoke no Korean other than hello and thank you, how to ask for help. I had to trust so many strangers, and it was one of the best experiences. I also got to see a culture with centuries of recorded history, dynasties that stretch back hundreds of years, and I saw an education system in which 5-year-olds go to a hagwon before they start public school to be fluent in English before they even go to elementary school. And in that, you gain a perspective of what education means in different countries and how it's valued differently. And I realized that based on them, success looks very different for very many people. And then I came home and I gained perspective. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. Probably since 8 years old, I knew that psych was where I thought I wanted to go. And it ended up to not be the case. So I moved to Indianapolis with my now husband. And I was able to meet the vice president of marketing and communications for Goodwill of Central Indiana and get an interview as a marketing assistant. I had no experience whatsoever. The day before, I tried to do something on Photoshop, and it was extremely embarrassing, and I still brought it. And in that meeting, she said to me, I think you have the work ethic that it takes to do this job, and I'm going to do everything that I can to help you, and I'm going to hire you as an assistant. And you're going to just have to listen to other people, and you're going to have to do everything that I tell you. And I said, yes. And it's because of Cindy that I am now in the position that I'm in. She gave me every task she could. We had people leave our team. She would just give me their job and be like, figure it out. And it was in that moment I realized I really could figure it out. I could Google it. We have access to so much information. And it's because of her that I am now in this path or in this role that I'm in. So then my husband and I moved back to Goshen, which, if you know me, is probably the last place that I thought I would end up. I am a city girl. Find me in New York City at 11 a.m. walking the streets by myself and feel completely empowered. That's kind of where I thought I was. But my husband's family owns a business here, and he didn't want his dad to sell it, and so I agreed to move back. And in the end, it's such a beautiful place to live. I don't mean any offense when I say this, but living in Indianapolis, I kind of joke, we all live the same lives. We all go to Target on the weekends, no matter where we live. We all go to Costco, or we all go to something, and we live very similar lives. But in Goshen, there's a richness, because when a community is smaller, you actually have the opportunity to get to know each other. And you get the opportunity to get to know different cultures and different ways of life, and there's really nothing more beautiful than that. And so while I've been back in Goshen for 15 years, I think I've been surprised by how much I have enjoyed it. I also think that life takes a lot of intentionality. So while I might not be living in New York City or a place where I thought I would be, I want to be very intentional about the life that I create here in Goshen, which is bringing culture to my life. So this is Giuseppe. My husband and I are 28 years old, and we hosted an exchange student for a full year, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I did not yet have children of my own, so parenting a teenager was hilarious. We would show up at football events. We made him do a sport every semester. He needed to stay busy. And the girls, the social life, the time that I had to show up at a party at midnight and tell him it was time to come home because he didn't understand what the word curfew meant. And in the end, I gained so much understanding of exchange students, his family in Italy, and now this lifelong connection on the other side of the world. You also never know where you might end up when you have exchange students, and somehow we ended up at an Amish home where they were raising bears, and we're bottle feeding bears. So there's culture everywhere in this community, and I'm really grateful for it. Now I have children of my own. That is my husband, Justin. The oldest is Fordham, and the 3-year-old is August. And that is the house that I will be selling tomorrow. So new journeys await. I've lived downtown Goshen for 11 years and thoroughly have enjoyed it, but bought that house before I had kids. And once again, I gave so much to that house, and I have gained so much from it, more than I've ever given. If anyone wants to talk about the best strategies for stripping paint, please let me know. And it will go on to the next owners who will take care of it. Also, if you would have told me that I was going to have 2 boys, I would have said, no way. I was prepared to raise Icebox from Little Giants. I was going to raise this powerhouse girl who was going to play sports and maybe even like play on the boys team. And I was very aggressive when I was a kid and used to foul out at every basketball game. And I was going to have this fierce daughter. But as I get older, and as we're at this women's luncheon today, and we learn things, I have now decided that this path for me in life, this world doesn't just take women, it takes good men. Men who are our allies, men who themselves don't have to live in a box and are able to express themselves in ways that maybe they haven't. And as I raise these little boys, I have gained so much from stretching myself behind measure. And I hope that I give them the tools to go out into the world and be good men and see them be good partners. And while it's completely different than how I imagined raising children, it's beautiful all the same. So for me, as I look through life, here's a picture of me stripping paint at my house and finding gold leaf and almost having a mental breakdown as I tried to strip plaster molding. Time passes anyways. So it's very important to just keep doing the projects because 3 years will pass and you could have done nothing, but you also could have accomplished something big. So as I go through my life, I'm always looking and searching for women who are braver than I am, who speak out, who take fear and worry, and they actually create action to make the world a better place. It's to find role models at every stage of life who have created their own path that hasn't always been straight. And I'm lucky to have like that in my life, both here and now, even nationally, as I serve in my new role as the director of the Hessl Women of Impact program at the University of Notre Dame. At the university, Notre Dame did not go co-ed until 1972. And so you can imagine that the women I work with were 1 out of 110 people in a class. They were the first. They were the first to go to law school. They were the first to graduate with engineering degrees. They were the first to attend Notre Dame as women. And it's really meaningful work. Before this, I worked for our local community mental health center for 10 and a half years. And so I would say if I had 2 passions in life, one would be mental health, and the other would be supporting women and helping them thrive. So today, I get to help ensure that young women have the financial support to say yes to Notre Dame. Over 50% of Notre Dame students are on complete financial aid packages. And I don't think everyone knows that. I think oftentimes you think of Notre Dame and you think of a certain group of people. We are first generation South American, and it is my job to get women to donate money to financial aid packages specifically for female students. And it's powerful. I get to work with women who tell stories that they used to buy clothes that were 4 sizes too big so they didn't get rated as they walked through the lunchroom. And now they take that story to create a better life for others. And it's really important and special that I get to help facilitate those connections. In addition, I get to help create mentorship programs. I get to take the women who are in my Hessl Women of Impact group and match them with undergraduate students who have similar interests. Watching those relationships thrive and having students learn from the women who created space for them is extremely special. So now, as I think about maybe the next 4 years of my life, I kind of want to stop asking, what can I achieve? And I want to ask something different. What do I want to learn? What perspective am I missing in life? What would be fulfilling to me? And what can I give that would help me better understand someone else's life? Because that curiosity that I had as an altar server has never left. Instead, I can gain insight. And when you have that courage, you grow. And when women invest in women, we all rise. So as we celebrate Women's History Month and coordinating this luncheon, thank you. I feel that life is truly a journey of giving and gaining. The question that I'm asking myself is, what do you want to gain next, and what are you willing to give to get there? Thank you.
This is me. Well, Kari is definitely a hard act to follow, right? Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Giselle Hernandez, and I am a bilingual realtor, wife, a mother, a community advocate, and a very proud Cuban American woman raised in South Florida. Before anybody asks, why am I in Northern Indiana? The weather, of course, right? So, as you can see, I'm very proud Cuban American. That is me in Miami in front of a rooster painted as the Cuban flag because in Elkhart County we see elk everywhere. In Miami you see roosters. So, everything I am today in business, in leadership, in motherhood, it's all rooted in one principle: give to gain. But this is not something that I learned in a book. This is something that I learned around the dinner table. I was raised in South Florida in a Cuban family where family is everything, hard work is a non-negotiable, respect is expected, and generosity is normal. In our culture, you do not wait to be asked. You just show up. You bring the food, you make the call, you open your home, and you take care of your people. So I grew up watching my family give, even when they didn't have much themselves. That really shaped me as a person. That has taught me that wealth is not measured by what you keep, it's measured by what you share. Long before I became a realtor, I understood this: if you take care of the people, they will take care of you. That's how my family built the relationships they had. It's how our community thrived, and it's how trust is formed. So when I entered in real estate, I didn't build my business about transactions, I built it about relationships, because in our culture, relationships are everything. In my business, I don't see clients. I see families, I see dreams, I see sacrifices, and I see parents wanting more for their children, just like mine did. Especially within the Hispanic community, I often become more than a realtor. I become a translator, an educator, a guide, ultimately a safe place to ask questions. So when someone hears the home buying process explained in their language, not just linguistically, but culturally, there's something that shifts. They now feel understood. The cultural understanding is a gift my roots have given me. And that's when I have clarity and confidence. From that, I've gained trust. So my slogan in real estate is tu agente de confianza, which means your trusted agent. That did not come from some sort of marketing brainstorm. It came from who I am. In my culture, trust is earned over time, and it's built through consistency, through showing up, through doing what you say you're going to do. When you earn someone's trust in our culture, you become family. And that's how my business has grown. These are examples of families that I've helped in the community. This has not been through pressure. It has not been through chasing, but through serving. The gain from all of this has been referrals, loyalty, long-term relationships. So being raised Cuban American has also taught me that education is everything. Our parents have come here for opportunity, and opportunity comes through education. That's why serving as an advocate for Concord Community Schools has been so pivotal and important to me. When we support the schools, we don't just support students. We are strengthening families and the entire community ultimately. Strong schools will build strong neighborhoods, and strong neighborhoods will build strong markets, right? So giving time to education means gaining a better future overall. In our families, women are strong. We are nurturing, yes, but we're also resilient, we're strategic, and we're driven. So being part of the Women in Business Network through the Goshen Chamber has reflected something that I grew up seeing: women lifting each other up. In our space, we give encouragement, collaboration, mentorship. And what do we gain from this? Confidence, expansion, opportunity, and ultimately, community. So when women give to one another instead of competing, we will all rise. Now, serving as a new board member for the Boys and Girls Club, this is something that speaks to my heart as a mother. In my culture, our children are everything. Our children are protected, they're guided, they're celebrated, and ultimately invested in. So when we're giving to children structure and belief, we are investing and then we're gaining future leaders. When we're giving them mentorship, we are gaining transformation. And when I am investing time in these children, I'm not just serving that day. I'm investing in tomorrow's homeowners, business owners, and community leaders. So that is creating legacy. I have here some pictures of little me on the left in the rocking chair with my older sister. On the right is my sister and my brother. Those are my heart. In the middle is my beautiful blended family. My husband, Joseph, our eldest, Meredith, who's with me here today, our eldest boy, Adrian, the one with the head sticking out. Our youngest is Aiden, the little chubster in the front. And a few months ago, we took in 2 children who were orphaned, which are Sarah and Leo. So that is our beautiful blended family. The same values that have shaped my business is how I have raised my children. They see work ethic, integrity, service, and community involvement. They hear Spanish in our home every day. They know where their grandparents have come from, and they understand the sacrifices that have brought us here. I want them to know that success is not just about achievement, it's about your contribution, what you give back to your community. And when they watch me serve my clients, the schools, the nonprofits, and the women in our community, they are learning that giving is creating growth. So there's a powerful truth in both business and the Cuban culture. And when you show up for the people, they will show up for you. When you give loyalty, you gain loyalty. When you give effort, you gain respect. And when you give honesty, you're going to gain opportunity. My Cuban roots have taught me resilience, they've taught me warmth, and they've taught me how to treat strangers just like family. That's been one of the greatest business advantages that I could have ever gained. Because ultimately, in a world that feels transactional, people are craving relationship. Because I've learned to lead with service, rooted in culture and strengthened by community, I've gained a growing referral-based business, strong partnerships, and community trust. I'm thankful that I have learned not only to give, but also to gain from what I give: knowledge, relationships, and community. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So if you're not familiar with that song, that is Baba O'Reilly by The Who. And I know it's going to be a good day if I hear that on my commute to work. So I just wanted to share that song with all of you today. My name is Megan Hessl, and I have the joy of being a charitable and trust administrator for Everins here in Goshen. It is truly an honor to be here today with so many of you who lead in business, nonprofits, families, classrooms, and in countless ways that shape our community every single day. When I heard this year's theme, Give to Gain, I kept coming back to one question. What do we actually gain when we choose to give? Because giving doesn't feel strategic. It doesn't always come with applause, and it certainly doesn't come with any guarantees. But over time, I've learned this. Some of the most important things we gain in life only come after we give first. I didn't grow up with a mapped out life plan. I grew up with something better. Parents who gave me opportunity. They gave me the chance to try sports, hobbies, activities, not because I was exceptional at all of them, but because they believed exposure builds character. T-ball, that was not for me. I spent more games sitting in the outfield picking 4-leaf clovers than I did actually touching a ball. But drama, I loved it. Swimming, that really stuck. 4-H, that taught me discipline and follow through. My parents gave me room to explore, and that gift shaped me. They also instilled in me 2 unwavering principles: never quit, and treat all people as equal, regardless of their skin color, religion, or economic status. They modeled it. Hard work was not optional, integrity was not negotiable, and dignity belonged to everyone. They taught me something powerful. You give respect before you expect it. You give effort before you see results, and you give perseverance before you experience success. What I gained from that foundation wasn't ease, it was resilience. Confidence, not from comfort, but from consistency. Empathy that shaped how I lead. The courage to walk into rooms where I didn't always feel like I belonged and still contribute. I spent almost 20 years in retail leadership, managing multiple million-dollar stores and leading teams of 30-plus employees. Retail is fast-paced, emotional, and absolutely unpredictable. But it's also one of the greatest leadership classrooms in the world. I had the opportunity to mentor young employees, many in their first job, teenagers learning professionalism, college students discovering confidence, young leaders stepping into management roles for the very first time, helping someone navigate their first hard conversation, watching them grow into confidence, seeing them realize they were capable of more than they thought. It taught me so much. And what I gained from investing in others was far greater than a sales metric. There were times I was sent across the country to walk into new markets to open stores and build teams from scratch, inspiring an entire new group of employees to bring joy to customers reinvigorated me every time. When you give energy to a team, when you give belief, when you give clarity, you gain momentum, you gain loyalty, and you gain purpose. That's my awesome neighborhood. And yes, it was surreal that a girl from Napanee, Indiana, was running the 5th largest Build-A-Bear workshop in downtown Chicago. But what got me there wasn't ambition alone. It was showing up daily, giving discipline, giving consistency, and giving my best before expecting results. Today, my professional role centers around fueling the generosity of others through their unique gifts. As a trust and charitable administrator, I help individuals align their resources with what matters most to them. Sometimes it looks like planning for the future, and sometimes it looks incredibly simple. It looks like mailing a check to a charity, knowing that inside that envelope could be something life-changing. A scholarship, a food pantry, a medical need met, a ministry sustained. The simple act of giving can ripple far beyond what we see. When you sit across the table from people who want to give thoughtfully, you learn something powerful. Generosity is the clearest expression of give to gain. When people give intentionally, they gain purpose. When people give strategically, communities gain strength. And when they give vision, the impact multiplies. I have the privilege of helping direct that generosity, and it's something I don't take lightly. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege of serving on the Goshen Park and Recreation Board, including this last year as president, and on the Goshen Redevelopment Commission. It is an honor. Giving back to my community is not a burden. Public service requires giving your time, giving preparation, giving thoughtful listening, and giving patience, often without immediate results. But what you gain is perspective. You see the full picture. You understand the weight of decisions. You recognize how deeply choices affect neighborhoods and families. Good governance isn't loud. It's thoughtful. It's prepared, and it listens before it reacts. And I have gained a deeper love for Goshen by giving myself to this work. When I think about give to gain, I don't think about giving in order to get something back. I think about giving because it shapes who we become. I gain credibility when you gain consistency. You gain trust when you give integrity. You gain influence when you give respect. For women especially, progress has often required giving before we were fully invited. Giving preparation, giving excellence, giving our voice. And when we do that, something powerful happens. The next generation gains confidence, our communities gain strength, and our cities gain leadership rooted in service. So today, I encourage you, reflect not only on what you've gained, but also what you're willing to give. Give your time, give your mentorship, give courage, give collaboration. Because what we choose to give becomes the foundation for what we and others gain. I am grateful for what my parents gave me, for what my mentors gave me, for what my teams gave me, and for what this community continues to give. And I'm grateful to live in a place where people understand that giving is not a weakness, it is leadership. Let's continue giving what matters to our families, our businesses, and our city. Happy International Women's Day.
I'm a big Gaga fan. Someone in the back there is too. So, thank you. What an honor to be asked to speak today. And I said, what do I have to give? So I'm going to share my story, and I'm going to do it a little bit different, and I'm going to try not to cry. So here we go. The theme of gift to gain has been on my mind. It can mean so much, be taken many ways. It means more than just to be kind. Combine the theme with what the power of International Women's Day, give to gain can mean much more than it intentionally did portray. As a young girl growing up, an only child, not one of means, I watched my parents give so that I could gain my dreams. Long hours and late nights with one car living in our apartment. When we moved to Goshen, Indiana, my mom worked countless hours at the JCPenney's women's department. My father worked in radio, a profession that does not pay. He did what he did because he loved it, and he did it for me day after day. Neither had gone to college. They had both been married young. They worked so I could gain, so that I could be among. I am not naive to the strengths, their sacrifice. Good Lord. Oh, parents, all right. I am not naive to the struggles, the sacrifice, the trials that came their way, all so that I could have braces on my teeth, and I still wear my retainer religiously to this day. As a teen, I would graduate from Goshen High School full of hope and full of pride, and I would figure out how to enroll in college. I wanted my opportunities to multiply. A semester into college at Indiana University South Bend, I learned at 19 I was pregnant. A young life on me would depend. A single mother, I would learn to give so that my son could gain. I poured all I could into my education while working. I wanted a life I could sustain. All along, we knew that something wasn't quite right. When Ethan was 2 years old, a diagnosis, I will always remember that night. He will never walk. He will never speak any words. He will have seizures by age 4. Angelman syndrome was the diagnosis. At least we had answers and focus could be restored. You know, and I went over this 1,000 times, and I was like, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. Thank you. I am proud to say that Ethan is my hero, number one. He has been through more hell than we can fathom, and complain, he has done none. Ethan did learn to walk and communicate with us in his own way. He continues to grow and love unconditionally, something the rest of society could display. He is pure. He is happy. He is my turkey and my boy. He can be stubborn. At the age of 25 years old, he's now a man and no longer a boy. I am forever grateful to those who gave to us so that I could finish college. It means more than words can explain. To those that poured into giving to us, oh gosh, now I can't even see my words here. All right. All right. To those that poured into us by giving again so that I could gain. Caring for Ethan, appointments, working the system, trying to learn has been complicated. All while working a job, going to college full time, I was tired and I was motivated. As a young woman with a child that had very special needs, I was told often to quit school, get a job in a factory. You don't need more stress. This did nothing but plant seeds. Tell me that I can't, because as a woman, a mother, the responsibility on me must fall. I will show them how to move forward, sacrifice, get it done while standing tall. I became a teacher at Goshen Middle School. Social studies, history was my lane. I revel in the stories of the past where we learn about others giving for society's gain. There is nothing like 500 seventh graders during passing period or in the cafeteria at lunch. They are so awkward and so strange. They are a truly hilarious bunch. From there, I went to coaching teachers, one of the most humbling jobs of my life, watching as best practices are implemented so that the next generation can gain insight. My village remains strong, helping with Ethan all along. Some of you are in this room. They gave their time and assistance so we could gain and belong. Because others gave to us, I was able to continue in school, thankfully. A master's degree, an admin license, an EDS, and eventually my PhD. And along the way, I met the love of my life, my soulmate and best friend. The man is an absolute saint, the ultimate giver to no end. Shout out to my husband, Brian, and that's all I can say about him, or I'll just sob even more. He is an amazing human being. And we got married right here. After being a school administrator, my heart and soul thank them all. The job is often twisted. I changed careers at the calling of God. He spoke for once and I listened. That landed me where I need to be as president and CEO. Never could I have imagined being in this position with the ability to impact thousands of youth and watch them grow. We provide life-changing opportunities to all youth that need us most. We are able to give to families so that our children can thrive utmost. It is an honor and a privilege to be trusted with our youth in the community, to guide the community in giving so that our children can gain opportunity. Boys and Girls Clubs of Elkhart County was established in 1956 in Goshen on the Hill. I am the first female president, and I keep hearing those are hard shoes to fill. It is not my job to fill anyone's shoes. Those are shoes that are a legacy of their own. It is my job to carry out my vision, to continue building a strong organization while thinking about what is foreknown. Our Boys and Girls Club Foundation was established in 1985. 2023, I would be the first woman in the room with the foundation board. I have never felt more alive. Since then, we have brought on 3 more women to the foundation board for our clubs. Some of them are in this room, helping change the course of what was. Being a female CEO at a large organization has been certainly interesting and more. There are things that have been said to me, things that leave my jaw on the floor, and that is a topic for a whole other speech that I will not cry through. We as women are taught to give of ourselves so that others can always gain. It's what we do, it's in our culture, but is that how it should always remain? As a woman, it's expected to constantly give of ourselves so that others can gain. But what if we switch that narrative to give a little to ourselves without the need to explain? When we invest in ourselves and push through when others doubt, when we love of ourselves and lift each other up, then we turn the narrative inside out. Yes, let's give so that others can gain, but let's think about our own dreams and wishes. We do not need to be kept inside to have babies and do dishes. We should pour into ourselves as women and as leaders. We are women that deserve to give to ourselves. We are truth seekers and we are dreamers. When we don't let the status quo define who we are and what we do, we can accomplish extraordinary feats, and this I know to be true. Thank you.
I think everyone's crying. What a beautiful story. Thank you all so much who shared your stories today with all of us. I know my heart has been inspired and I feel uplifted and excited about what the present holds as well as the future.